Well, you may have seen it, but you may not have believed it. Karachi Kings, the hometown heroes, they sealed the deal with a six that fittingly ended in their dugout as they successfully chased 234 for their first win of the season. An extraordinary run chase that went right the way down to the last over against the Multan Sultans. What a way to kickstart the Karachi leg of the HBL Pakistan Super League. Welcome back to the pitchside studio. We're just catching our breath because what an epic encounter that was. Karachi Kings victorious in the end against a strong Multan Sultans outfit. And who better to unpack all of the drama and the action with than their brand new coach, Ravi Bopara and Aruj Mumtaz. Ravi, how's the blood pressure? Welcome to coaching. My goodness.
I know, I didn't expect it to be this difficult emotionally. And now I see why coaches age so quickly once they start that coaching career. But no, what a game.
Let's get a salt and pepper check, hey, and then check at the very end of the season and see how that's going.
Yeah, I mean, what a game. It was one of the best chases I've ever seen in T20 cricket.
Ruji, a lot to love about that run chase, wasn't there? We know Karachi haven't had the best of times in the last 4 seasons. How impressive was that performance given the task was such a big ask? That's scoreboard pressure at its finest.
Yeah, 100%. 234 to chase down in a ground which doesn't yield to too many. And a team doing which hasn't had the best fortune either. Win one game last season. And you saw in the opening that you saw what it meant to even the experienced pros how they jumped out of their seats. So David Warner's emotions in that as well. Just goes to show you what this means for a franchise that has been down and out for the last 4 seasons if you put them in together. So change of fortunes with leadership. Ravi and David Warner as well, and I am sure he's aged and he's probably leaving with a few more whites in his head than he arrived with. But I think it was important for them to sort of time the chase in the manner that they did. It was important for James Vince, who hasn't come off good form in the previous season as well. And what a fantastic 100. Even with Khushdil to come in and do what he did, it was brilliant. And it becomes the 3rd highest run chase in the history of the tournament as well.
Not just a win, but one for the record books. That's got to make you feel good looking at that, Ravi.
Oh, it does. I mean, again, just talking about some of the innings, Vincey hadn't played alongside him for 15 years. Well, not alongside him, playing against
him, yeah.
For almost 15 years. He's always scored runs. I've always seen him score runs. So I had no doubt that when he walked out and I saw that pitch, the way it played in the first innings, that he was going to play an important role with the bat. Just the way he plays, because he plays quite a risk-free way of playing and still be able to score at a high rate. I mean, that's a sign of a class batsman who can just do it without making it look so risky. Yep. So, I mean, that innings was one of the best I've ever seen. And I'm sure we'll celebrate it a bit later when we get back to the hotel.
I bet you will, as you deserve to. But let's talk team talk, because it was a difficult ask. Karachi have not had a great run coming in. So much pressure on you. Brand new coach, brand new captain, a lot of new players in the side as well. What did you talk about heading into the match today?
Look, our practice leading into the game has been quite specific. We've been working on a lot of death hitting. We've done. I'm making sure that everybody's getting a hit in the nets. I think in the past we've had at times where there's only been 4 or 5 batsmen who've had a hit. I think it's important that everybody gets hit. Like you've seen there towards the end, some of your lower order batters have got to make contributions because the game comes down right to the end. So all those sort of things, involving everybody, not just the 11 or the 12 that are in the squad, but making sure everybody's involved, the management, everybody. And it's been nice. It's just been a nice vibe. So it's been a great start.
And what kind of a captain has David Warner been as well? Because we know that he's a man that gets above and beyond his troops. I saw him do it in the Big Bash League with the Sydney Thunder, who didn't look like they had a chance on paper when you looked at their side in the BBL, but he finds something out of blokes that perhaps they didn't know that they had. What's so special about what he brings as a leader?
Well, I think he leads by example. Yeah. That's the important thing as a captain is it's all well being a captain, but you have to be able to lead by example. And that's what he does. And then the rest of the guys feel like they have to keep up with Dave Warner. You know, keeping up with him's tough. So, you know, he drags everybody with him. And he's very vocal. He spends a lot of time with the local boys as well, which is really, really important to get the best out of them and understanding them as well, going further into the competition, you know, what makes them tick and all those sort of things. So he's very good at that, socialises very well, and I think that's important.
The tenacity of the bull as well, Arooj. Look at the emotion in the atmosphere of the dugout as well. It was like they won a World Cup, but after the seasons that they've had, I understand it. I really do. Like, what a win for the Karachi fans.
Well, you look at the contrasting emotions. At the halfway stage, it was all glum and gloom. And I was telling him just before we went on air that we probably captured all his range of emotions, from absolutely blank and sort of lost for ideas. I don't know if that was the case, but that's what the emotion was. When you're getting 234, the pitch was a bit of a speculation as well. I mean, you have to be slightly critical. I thought Karachi Kings bowlers let themselves down as well because they bowled far too many extras. But it was a surface that was going to yield over 200 the way it played. So very important that we got the range of emotion. I spoke to David Warner as well, and he was very open about the fact that the welcome he's received, and it's been a fantastic group that he's come into. I think it's the same with Ravi as well. But you need that tenacity, and you need your leadership group and your experienced players to sort of just make the best of it when the going gets tough. And again, like Ravi said, to involve everyone so that when it comes a chance, they all feel like they're in sync of it. So you're right. I mean, it might not have been the World Cup, but to get one win entire season and a fantastic, thrilling win this first game in Karachi, I'm sure they'll get more of the Karachi guys out. Come on, guys, you need to show up for the next game, fill these crowds because your team's on winning ways.
Yeah, this is your call out. All of you Karachiites there, I want to see you at the next match in a couple of days' time, because you're going to want to see James Vince, the man of the match in tonight's match, back in action. When you have 234 on the board to chase down, when James Vince runs to the crease and he spanks 101 off just 43 balls, Ravi, I mean, you know what he can do. You've played against him for so many years, but was this even a surprise for you, this innings?
No, it wasn't a surprise. Actually, he had a little blister on his hand that he kept complaining about all yesterday and then today before the game. I said, "Are you sure you're okay to play?" And he started laughing because it's quite a pathetic little blister on his hand, which actually affects him because that's where he holds the bat from. But
yeah, it was sensational, wasn't he, the man of the match?
Yeah, he was great, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, and he was the right man for the moment, wasn't he, Arooj? Cool, calm head. I loved how frustrated he was at the very end as well. I mean, it's hard to get 100 and feel frustrated, but he said, I want to have the responsibility. It's my job to finish it off, and you want to be there to hit the winning runs when you've done the most.
I think it's important. Scoring runs is one thing, and crafting your innings to get over the line, to time your innings to that perfection is important. Striking at 234 is something that, and he's a very classical, clean striker of the ball, but he's got that aggressive ability. That's something that sometimes he goes under the radar with. To strike at 234 is no easy feat, right? So it's absolutely fantastic for him to do that. And 140 odd runs with Khushdil Shah. So brilliant. I think it's probably he'll be important in terms of Karachi Kings and going longer into the tournament.
Sensational performance, Ravi. Just before we let you go, grudge match. It's Karachi versus Lahore for your next one. Can we make it 2 out of 2?
Oh, I'd love to make it 2 out of 2. But the boys are in good spirits. That's the most important thing coming into the next game.
Well, go get involved in those good spirits. Thank you so much for your time. Ravi Papara there, the coach of Karachi Kings. I'm so used to thinking of you as a player. But wonderful performance there. Off to a very short break, but stick with us. Plenty more on the other side of the pitchside studio. Welcome back to the Pitchside Studio, unpacking all of the action of Karachi Kings' first win of the season against the Multan Sultans. Ali Atakan, another debutant who was fantastic today, but in the commentary box rather than on the field. I mean, what a welcome we've given you. What a game of cricket.
Simply brilliant. And you know, at the one stage when the Karachi finished their innings at 234, we all thought that is a winning score. That was a big mistake by looking into that direction. But what a start to this win for them. Karachi, remember, they don't have a really great track record against Sultans in PSL. But my word, James Vince and Khushdil Shah was simply magnificent with that partnership of 147 to take the game just out of their winning hands of Multan Sultans. Remember, 79 for 4 at one stage. chasing a target of 230, never easy. Forget about that brilliant 100 that he scored, wins. But to be able to understand and consume that pressure, knowing that you've lost 4 wickets early on, he just batted through, and then he found someone like Khushdil Shah to give him that sensational boost, thanks to that wonderful partnership that I spoke about. And in the end, a very, very good win for Karachi Kings.
Yeah, James Vince, absolutely brilliant. Was the player of the match. Let's relive that wonderful innings and all the boundaries. We knew he had to come out absolutely firing today, Arooj. He was spanking them from day dot. 14 fours and 4 sixes in that innings.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier as well, 234, the strike rate. It's not easy to keep up with the rate, which at one point was around 14. It was very late till they actually managed to get it under 10. And it was important for him to keep finding the boundaries. Yes, Khushdil was there, but to score a century in 42 deliveries and set the platform, 140 runs between the two of them, he was absolutely magnificent. And remember, he normally would open, but to do what he did at the position, brilliant.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, wasn't he? But it wasn't just him with the back. Khushdil Shah up against his old opponent, Ali. He was just incredible to watch, and I thought his sense of composure, given the situation, Atta, was brilliant to watch.
To be looking at when he came on to bat, we mentioned 79 for 4, and to play against a team which he represented in the last edition of the HBL PSL, and to be able to perform the way he performed, I think people will not also forget the fact that he participated in the last edition of Bangladesh Premier League, where he scored not too many runs, 298 in 10 innings, but his strike rate was 175, and he always showed that he is capable of taking the bowlers. Whenever he went on to pick up a big shot, he ended up picking a big shot, because to be able to chase that many runs above 200, as I said earlier, never easy, but to be able to get that partnership going on with James Vince, knowing that the runs are coming from the other end, but it was also important for someone like Khushdil Shah to make a bigger statement with the bat, and that's exactly what he did. Marvellous, marvellous innings.
Talk about moments in T20 cricket. He was absolutely the turning point in tonight's match. Sixteenth over, the ever-experienced Chris Shorten with the ball. It was going to be a battle, but enter Khushdil Shah. He spanked 3 sixes in a row to get them off to an absolute flyer. To break the back of that run chase, it has to be said. Just brilliant from Khushdil. A wonderful performance with the bat, and Ruji, one that we know that he's been so capable of it, but haven't seen so regularly for Pakistan and for other domestic tournaments for a while.
Yeah, off late, he's obviously been a bit under the pump. He hasn't really delivered the kind of promise he promised, but for him to come good against an opposition that he played with up until last year, and for him to come good to 3 sixes to Chris Jordan, never easy, but then to stick it out, that's again important. He had to be there for the longest period, to leave very little in case both of them fell, and they did at an important time, James Vince and Khushdil. But he's been brilliant. He's got that striking ability, but he hasn't really delivered in the past. So maybe this is just not just a boost for him and his franchise, but maybe promising things to come for Pakistan as well.
I was just thinking, they've been crying out for a finisher. They've been saying, Pakistan, we need more power at the death. Atta, could this be the answer?
Well, if you look at tonight's result, definitely this is the answer that they're looking forward to. And remember, there are big names. They've made some big changes. They brought in someone like David Warner. Tons of experience. They have Khushdil Shah also coming in, and there are others also who would be looking to contribute in big fashion. Ravi Bopal was here earlier on as the head coach. Sean Tate, yeah, he'll probably be talking to his bowlers how to bowl on a surface which is turn out to be a belter of a pitch. You know, you want to go in and bat on that surface for sure. But yes, definitely after losing the top order, if you go on to chase 234, then you're in for business.
Oh, absolutely. What a match it was. It's been an absolutely brilliant effort by you, Arooj. You've been jumping between English and Urdu commentary. I'm going to let you go and have a rest, but stick with us, everybody at home. Mike Hayesman is joining us next. The pitchside studio debrief continues here at Karachi National Bank Stadium. Looking through all of the epic action of Karachi Kings, downing the Multan Sultans. Mike Hayesman has made his way down from the commentary box. You sat on comms at the very end of that absolute nail-biter. How did you see things?
I mean, that was just a thrilling game. It really was. I mean, I just thought that the way that the first innings finished, I mean, that was crazy. 85 runs off the last 5 overs. I mean, that was just quite ridiculous. And then to suddenly the way that was paced by James Vince in particular, the way he paced things, and Kushtu Shah chipped in as well in the second innings. They were always ahead of the game all the way through. And then when they lost those 2 wickets right at the end, didn't matter too much. But the way they paced that innings, scoring runs, wickets getting downed, right at the start. I thought it was just amazing the way they went through it, and I just think that that victory was sensational, and that's going to do wonders for the Karachi Kings. And I'll say particularly because David Warner is the Karachi Kings captain. He is going to gel that side unbelievably after that. He's got something really big to feed off there. He's such a fine skipper, as we all know, and such a fine player, that he will lead by example even more so now, and he'll be driven dramatically, I think, after that performance.
And gents, we looked at the wicket before we started play, and we saw all that grass on there, and we thought potentially was there something in there for the bowlers today, but it was an absolute bowler's graveyard, wasn't it?
Well, we all thought that the amount of grass on the surface, remember Wasim Akram in his first innings said he's never seen that kind of grass on this kind of a surface. What it did, it held the pitch together. And the ball came on very nicely onto the bat, because that's why the number of boundaries, more than 60% for Multan Sultans and even more for Karachi Kings on the chase. So when you see a surface, it can give you a bit of a doubt in your mind, because you're not used to playing on the pitches, especially on this part of the world where there's so much grass on top of the surface. But when you go in and get set, I said, oh, mamma mia, this is my time to go and score runs quickly. Beautiful surface to bat on, and a sensational way for Karachi Kings to start their campaign here.
Oh, I think that, my, how can I resist you? And actually, Warner said at the very end, he wanted people to stop resisting putting it wide, Hazy, because they were getting absolutely punished. He said, hit that test match length, get it up there and see what happens, because anything else was just getting absolutely punished.
That's exactly right. And I think the mistake was made right at the start by David when they were bowling. I mean, they were trying to do too much of the ball, were swinging too much, they weren't controlling it, they weren't getting their lines right, so their lengths are wrong and their lines were wrong, and they had nothing to fall back on, really. And once the 17 runs off that first over, once that disappeared, then suddenly it was hard to sort of pull back that run rate right from the start of in the first 5 overs of that game, and we were off to the races after that. So yeah, as Waz and Waka set up in the comm box, and they would know, you've got to make sure in the track that's doing a lot and has the ability to do quite a bit, and if they got in the right areas, I still think it would have hindered the batsmen quite a bit, to get it in the right areas and not try and do too much of the ball. Just get in the right areas and put pressure on the batsmen the whole time, and sooner or later, if you keep them quiet, they're going to make a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a brilliant effort by the Karachi Kings to chase that down. But let's cast our mind back to how we got to a chase of 235 for victory. The Multan Sultans wickets. Well, things are going absolutely swimmingly for them. Shai Hope was the first one to fall in the 6th over. Hassan Ali absolutely loving that one there. We know how damaging he can be. And then a great bit of work behind the stumps there to remove Usman Khan. We know how damaging he can be in the HBL PSL. And then caught on the boundary at the end, it was Kamran Ghulam. The Multan Sultans' fall of wickets. They only lost 3, but perhaps they didn't go quite hard enough in retrospect. Atta.
Well, 234 in the end, I'll still take it. The team will take those runs for sure. And we discussed that what is the correct length and lines in on the surface, which is looked to be a really good batting surface. They didn't get it right. So it's important that they go back to the dressing room and the team discussion, because the batting has come really good. Even though they lost those 2 early wickets, but there was a partnership of 63 of 37 between Mohammad Rizwan and Ghulam to set things up for the rest to capitalize and cash in to put up that total. But I think while this coming down, I also noticed a bit of a dew. You can see a bit of a dew on the grass, and just right on the edge of the grass.
Right
you
here,
see it. You see it here as well.
Our pitchside studio is
so
when
the dew sets in, it is also difficult for the bowlers to grip and it gets easier for the batters, especially, and eventually that happened because they started smashing 4s and 6s, the boundary gallows in the first inning and also in the chase. So I think the bowlers will have to bowl much better to ensure that they can go and defend. But I reckon this surface, if it stays like this, or more 4s and 6s for sure.
The game was quite similar in that the power play was punished and then the partnership at the very end did a lot of damage, but Akib Javed was probably the standout bowler, it had to be said, for the Multan Sultans. Were you impressed, Hazy, with what he managed to try and extract? He thought for a moment there, oh, don't say it isn't so for Karachi, when he took a couple of wickets at the death.
Yeah, I like the way he stuck at it. I like the way, I mean, he's only young, we know that, he's an emerging player. I like the way he bowled quickly, because he did bowl quickly at times, and that was impressive to see. And we didn't see a great deal of variation from him, but we're not expecting to see it at this stage. And the way he had heart, and he showed his heart, and he got some wickets at the end, I thought it was terrific. So I thought that he did a good job, and he stuck at it. And I can think of quite a few other young players who perhaps wouldn't have been able to carry that weight, but he did nicely.
With almost 500 runs scored today, it was an absolutely diabolical time for all the fielders out there today. But let's have a look at who was our safe hands of the night. What a moment this was. James Vince, who was absolutely motoring with his century of just 42 balls. Chris Jordan, what a brilliant bit of effort in the outfield to facilitate that run out. And wasn't he filthy with himself there? All he wanted to do was be there at the very end. But this is experience. They made something out of nothing. You can see the intent from James Vince there. A little bit of hesitation and then, oh my goodness, I'm at the danger end. But he managed to get the job done, Chris Jordan. Experience in the field, absolutely imperative in this format of the game. When you look at the overseas that have come to play a part in this year's competition, Atta, you can see the HBL PSL is alive and well. These are some of the best T20 players in the world. What do you think this does for the younger Pakistani players in their sides as well, teaching them how important all that impetus in the field is in T20 cricket?
I mean, if you look at the youngsters watching this HBL PSL, they'll be looking at their heroes, the idols, and not just players from Pakistan, but as you rightly pointed out, players from overseas. You've got some big names. David Warner is playing. Watch him. Not just watch him how he bats, but watch him how he handles his bowlers, handle the team. What did he say in the mid-break when they were asked to go and chase that big total? So many important things come out from big players, and it's a great opportunity to learn and ensure, especially the youngsters who are dreaming about representing one of the franchise in future. So keep a close eye on the teams that have done well, and also look at those big names, what different they have done. Look at James Vince. How did he manage to get 100 in that chase? Khushdil Shah, player from Pakistan, who did wonderfully well. So there's so many things to look at.
I think also there's other players, really good players, are going to be coming in. I mean, we've still got Kane Williams was coming in, a couple of guys that Ben McDermott's coming in. He's obviously replacing Lytton Das, who sadly broke his finger yesterday. So he's a fine player. He'll come into the lineup at some stage, and he can play as a batsman alone. He's not just a keeper batsman; he can play as a batsman alone. So there's a couple other fine players that are going to lift things quite nicely as well. So I think that's going to be handy. And to me, it's the senior players are the guys that are going to be standing up. Of course, it's so important that the overseas players are of really good quality, and we're seeing that, and we're seing guys with some real buzz. I mean, I like Tim Seifert. He's someone who's got some buzz about him. I like that run out we just saw, where he suddenly darted in front of the stumps and got the run out as well. Also with the stumping he got also early in the game, and I like that he's a fine player, and he's been in good form for New Zealand as well. So I quite like the way that all these guys are coming, and I just think these young guys will be brought through. I mean, HBL PSL is so exciting for these young guys, given this opportunity, and every single year we sit here after 2 or 3 games and we think, wow, where did that guy come from? It's the same almost every year, and these guys just come to the fore and they keep going, and now they've developed into really fine players, and that's probably the most exciting things about HBL PSL.
And few of them have made their debut in PSL. I mean, look at Michael Berswell, what he did with the bat, with that brilliant partnership in the end, even though it could not end up on a winning note. But he showed that what he is capable of. I mean, exciting cricket going on here. Right?
Oh, I tell you what, it's crazy to think of David Warner as being a debutant, but he certainly was here tonight. Off to a very short break here, but do stick with us because we relive the refreshing moments on Just the Other Side. Well, with the epic win to the Karachi Kings and that James Vince century, it's easy to forget that we had a centurion in the first innings as well, with Mohammad Rizwan, 105 red ink off just 63 balls for the captain. He led from the front, supported by Michael Bracewell in his debut for his side, 44 off just 17 balls. Ghulam supported there as well with another cameo, but it was the Karachi Kings who chased it down with 4 balls to spare. 236, Khushil Shah, 60 off 37 balls. And of course, the century we keep talking about was James Vince, 101 of just 43. Not much to speak of for the bowlers, unfortunately. Not a day for the seamers or the spinners, it has to be said, but a wonderful day for the people with the bat in hand. And Mohammad Rizwan, he gets his first ever century in the HBL PSL, and he kind of goes forgotten because James Vince came and did it better. His second 100, I believe. Yeah, it is his second 100, his third overall T20 100 for Mohammad Rizwan. But yes, he was simply devastating with the bat. He's a kind of a player, I mean, he's an attacking player. He doesn't really take too much time to get himself set in, and he starts to realize the fact that if the pitch is behaving in his favor, then he backs himself off to play shots, even with those back of the line deliveries, because it's coming nicely onto the bat. And when it does that, an initial movement was there, yes, from the seamers. But having said that, if you pitch it up, you pitch it short, they bowled all over the place. Disappointing to see how they bowled, but he was simply magnificent with the bat. It was sensational. Let's relive his Super Sixes. Hazy, a lot said about his strike rate and that impetus at the top of the order, but he smashed 5 sixes in his innings today.
Yeah, look, he's someone who's a clean hitter. They knew right at the start that they needed to get runs pretty quickly, so he had to get after the bowling straight away. And I thought the way that they did it and they set up some sort of tone, I thought was really important, and it was quite nice to see. But I mean, just a magnificent day of T20 cricket, it really was.
How refreshing it was to see the Karachi Kings with a win, which of course brings us to our refreshing moment of the night. And without a doubt, it was Abbas Afridi smashing a 6 against his former side into his own dugout. And look at the elation on David Warner and his side as it sails across the boundary on the full. 6 to seal the deal, and a wonderful win to the Karachi Kings, kickstarting their campaign with an emphatic win across last year's runner-up. It was just a wonderful performance all round, and one that I don't think anybody saw coming earlier. Well, that wraps up a wonderful evening here at the City of Lights in Karachi, our first game of the HBL PSL Season 10. But the action doesn't stop there. We roll straight back to Rawalpindi tomorrow night. It is the Quetta Gladiators taking on the Lahore Qalandars. Both of those sides will be looking to register their first win of the tournament. That's match 4. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been a wonderful evening. I feel like I need a bit of a sleep after that. We appreciate your time. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of days' time.
Thanks,
back here in Karachi. Bahut shukriya for joining us at home. We'll see you all in just a couple of days. HBL PSL 10. We'll see you tomorrow.
I gotta be killing the beat. They call me king of the street. ऐसा कभी देखा ना flow. मेरी game मेरा है show. आगे आना पीछे से वार कर. मैं खेला तो टीम तैयार कर. आजा तेरी लाइफ बना दूं. फिर से अपना गाना सुना दूं. रोज मचा शोर आज कुछ होना है. रात भर जाग आज नहीं सोना है. कल की फिक्र में इस पल को नहीं खोना है. आज फिर हो जाने दो जो भी होना है. दम मस्त देखो. आज मेरा एक्स देखो. ऐसी मेरी वाइब देखो. कैसा मेरा फ्लेक्स देखो. मिल के बन नू मैक्स करो ना कलियां कलियां फ्लेक्स करो. यही सोच के आ गया मैं सारी दुनिया कहती है. ओ किंग ऑफ बंगड़ा एक ही है. सारी पब्लिक नू